Story 1. My ability to genuinely look forward to things is diminished. Even when something good is happening, it feels muted, as if I am watching someone else enjoy it. Story 2. My will to live, my sanity, motivation, and focus on something other than scrolling through my phone like a zombie. Story 3. I am not feeling excitement at all. It could be a trip or anything I have been looking forward to doing, but I just cannot feel the excitement anymore. Story 4. I am not socially anxious or overthinking every single interaction. I used to look forward to going out to restaurants, hanging out with friends, meeting new people, and attending gatherings. Now, more than half the time, I isolate myself out of fear of being perceived as weird or awkward. I hate it so much. I am missing out on life and the events of my family and friends. I feel like a terrible person. I think about it all the time. Story 5. Stopping the hypervigilant state. I don't know if it's an overreaction to depression or part of depression itself, but I can't seem to manage or lower it. Story 6. I used to be very optimistic, but now I expect something to go wrong. The world used to be vibrant and colorful, but now it is dull gray, and I wish I could change that. Story 7. My ability to laugh is not just a fleeting smirk, but a full-on, belly-busting, wholehearted laugh. Story 8. Intrinsic as opposed to extrinsic motivation. The only motivation available to me is how my actions will benefit others. When I try to visualize how they will help me, it is just a blind spot. Story 9. My ability to envision any kind of future for myself is limited. I think of my friends and family and imagine what they will do and who they will become 10 years from now, and I can picture their futures so clearly in my head. But when I try to imagine my own, it is just nothing. My mind goes completely blank. Story 10. Energy. I used to go hiking and have adventures on my days off. Now I am lucky if I can will myself off the couch to get something to eat. Story 11. My ability to sleep 8 hours and not wake up feeling guilty for sleeping so much. I work. I get tired. I sleep. But if I sleep too much, it feels like that dark warmth is pulling me back to that place. 6 hours seems to be my sweet spot. On my days off, I sometimes squeeze in a nap. Story 12. My personality. I do not know who I am anymore. I do not know what music I like, what things I like to do, or my favorite shows. Everything is just a blur into the next thing. I am not myself. I am someone watching my life on television with the volume low in the background. Story 13. Weight I gained so much I can't get it off. Depression has ruined my life. I just live in a small space in my mind. Story 14. Sucked the life out of everything. I do things, but I rarely enjoy anything. Everything operates like a machine. Story 15. The fear that it will come again. When I first experienced the throes of depression, it was right after I sold a business that occupied my life for 5 years. I avoid the steps that led me down that dark and dismal path with no light. Story 16. Childhood memories. Whenever my high school friends speak about old moments, I can almost never recall them. Story 17. Really being excited about anything. I got my name changed on my identification card, and it was like, at least it's correct now. I waited years for that. Story 18. My ability to sit and watch television and do nothing but watch is limited. I need to have my hands doing something or be actively playing my video game. Story 19. Sense of self-preservation. I engage in risky behaviors all the time because I think, well, why not? For example, it would not shock me if one day I die because I stopped to pick someone up on the side of the road. I do it all the time when I'm driving at night and see someone signaling drivers with a light. If they are going my way, I take them where they are going. Logically, I know this is risky, but emotionally, I do not care about the risk because the opportunity to help and brighten the day of others is right there in front of me. I am not going to reject it because of what might happen. I am pretty sure I saved 2 elderly people's lives from this habit once. They were freezing and shivering from cold, and one was passing out from lack of insulin when I drove them to the hospital. When I think about it like that, there is no part of me that says we should stop doing this risky activity. It is the same with work. I stand up and fight because the worst case scenario is I get fired and die. So, I am not scared of dying, and I am not scared to tell my boss, "You already have me doing 3 people's jobs. I will not take on any additional duties at this time." This is high-risk behavior due to little or no sense of self-preservation. Story 20, my memory. I don't just forget the painful stuff, but the good times seem gone too. There are whole chunks of my life that feel erased. I can't remember many people I went to school with, moments that should have mattered, or even things that used to make me happy. I can recall certain things with some help, but they are fuzzy like a dream. I just want my memories back. Story 21. My ability and desire to socialize have diminished. I feel like there is a massive wall around me at all times. It feels nearly impossible to connect anymore. I have lost my ability to hide how I feel. I cannot enjoy the little things. I always find a way to put a negative spin on anything, and I do not like it. I consciously try not to do it. Internally, however, I am always assuming the worst. Story 22, hope. I have dealt with depression my entire life, but when I was younger, no matter how bad it was, I still had hope that someday life could be better. I do not have that now. I do not know if it is a permanent state, but it feels like it at the moment. Story 23. Being able to enjoy myself, laugh, and banter with other people. I built a wall and it has not come down. Story 24. Optimism is the practice of looking at things with hope and a positive outlook. I am pragmatic and often pessimistic about outcomes. Just because you hope for something does not mean it will save you, so you should plan for the worst. Story 25. My free spirit, that urge to just live life to the full. My positive mental attitude. My self-esteem. Story 26. My physique, my teeth, and I took over $20,000 in student loans I honestly did not need at the time. If I had not become depressed, I would have just worked a little and I would have been okay. I spent it on so much unnecessary stuff too. Story 27. The feeling that I am more than just a drop of water in an ocean. To comfort you, people often tell you how similar what you are going through is to everyone around you. But their inability to get in my head and experience the loneliness I encounter every day is the root of why I feel disconnected. Comparing your baggage to someone else's does not help me feel better at all. It makes me feel like my emotions are even less valid. Story 28. Joy in the big moments. Birthdays, events, or simply being around friends and family. I am numb to things that used to excite me, just numb. Story 29. I was stagnant and worn out after 20 years working in a casino. I wanted to get away from shift work and the unpleasant parts, and I felt I would never progress in my career. I endured it for several years, hating life, drinking, and generally being angry all the time. Then, I found an amazing opportunity and took it without hesitation. I am not a social person. I did not realize that 90% of the people I considered friends all worked with me. I left, and after a couple of years, it feels like I have no friends now. Story 30. This might be strange, but I have a fear of death. I honestly will never go back to that place again, no matter what. It took that experience to truly understand what real depression is. I am just going to keep working hard as long as I want to, and I am very fine with that. Story 31. Pretty much all my self-esteem is gone. I have a long history of major depressive disorder, about 40 years. I have taken almost every antidepressant available, some with success, some not. The long-term use of these drugs has left me with post-selective serotonin reuptake inhibitor orgasm disorder, which is the inability to orgasm easily. I am a man, and it can take almost an hour to orgasm, if at all. I have lost a lot, and ironically, that is depressing. Story 32. My self-confidence, my motivation, and my ability to have fun. I just feel like I am watching someone else live through their eyes. Story 33. I was never diagnosed with depression, but I lived through a time period when I felt like I should have been seeing a therapist. I'm glad I am okay nowadays, but I realize that I often struggle with confidence issues, times when I cannot speak up or lie about how I truly feel. Story 34. Husband. Potential. But that revenge match should be starting soon. Just have to play some catch-up. Story 35. partially depression, partially anxiety, but I can't have happy things happen without always waiting for something bad to happen to counter or ruin it. I unexpectedly got pregnant with my son after being told I don't ovulate due to my polycystic ovary syndrome. So when I got pregnant naturally and as a surprise, we weren't even trying, I just spiraled thinking I would lose him somehow. He is almost 2 now, and I still feel this a lot. I experience this with everything in life. I can't have a good moment without a matching bad one. Story 36. Motivation and hope that things will improve. Things improved significantly, but I did not regain hope. Story 37. Even though I am generally not depressed, I have no initiative. I just waste my free time watching YouTube compared to reading, cleaning, drawing, playing video games, or watching films. This has drastically hindered me in education and finding a job. I am going to get transcranial magnetic stimulation, and I hope it will help. I am also switching to old-school antidepressants instead of serotonin norepinephrine reuptake inhibitors. Story 38. When it takes 4 medical doctors and over 6 years for one medical doctor to finally tell me I have depression, I can honestly say it has affected my trust in medical professionals. Story 39. Music is not distracting enough, so now I have to listen to audiobooks to help my brain concentrate on something other than dark thoughts. I miss just jamming, but nowadays that comes with a lot of suicidal ideation attached. Story 40. Being in a good mood. It's rare, but there are days when I think, oh man, today is good. I'm enjoying myself. Then the thoughts come, why are you in a good mood? You have done nothing and don't deserve to be in a good mood. You have so many unresolved issues you need to be dealing with, all of them right now. And then I go back to feeling meh. Story 41. Depression also gave me a deep-seated paranoia about employment, the economy, and my personal finances. What this paranoia born from depression takes away is ever feeling comfortable, at peace, and ultimately happiness. Story 42. My creativity. I used to write poetry, short stories, and books. I have not been able to write anything since starting my antidepressants in 2005. Story 43. I'm over it as far as I can see. Who knows if it will come back? Not that I'm the soul of the party. I have, let's say, inner scars, but in the end, it resulted in growth. It took all my strength to get out, and I didn't believe I could, but I'm in a better place now and feeling proud of myself. I remember the last session with my therapist. It was my last session because my insurance did not cover more at that stage. I wanted to be done and leave, but when the time was over, I was ready to leave as soon as possible, and she told me, I don't care that the time is over. Listen to me. Nobody can get you out of this, only you can. Do it. Get dressed, go out. It doesn't matter if you really don't want to. Dare to do something different. You'll never get this time back, but you can always look forward. Just do it. Nobody else can. It sounded like an order, but it also sounded like a gentle request. I don't know what it did to me, but I just did what she said. I was long-term unemployed and very skeptical I would find something soon, much less something I liked in any way. But I did it. I'm grateful for every day I'm still alive. A couple of years ago, a friend of mine who was a hypochondriac and depressed died from an illness. Her life was wasted looking only for the bad side of things. I'm not super optimistic or such a person, but I'm happy I'm alive and not done fighting. Story 44. Confidence. I used to not care and was confident. Then depression and anxiety, and now I am on the other side. I am described as quiet and unobtrusive. Story 45. I was always a mix of extrovert and introvert depending on the people around me. Before I had depression, I talked to many strangers, played cards with them on the streets, and we talked about our lives even though we had known each other for maybe 10 minutes. However, coworkers, for example, thought I was really shy. Before I had depression, it didn't bother me because I did not care about what other people thought of me. I knew that most of the time, no matter what I did in my life, people misunderstood me or thought I was a loser because of my appearance. Still, I liked talking with everybody because I enjoyed the company, even when I knew the other person thought badly of me. Since I have depression, I have a different mindset about people. I don't trust many people anymore. I am a little paranoid. I have carried small weapons for the last few years. and I automatically think that everybody wants to see me fail and not accomplish anything. So that is what depression took from me. Trust and the joy of having company, even if I am still alone with company because nobody liked me. Story 46. The ability to genuinely feel happy. I can be content now or excited, but I do not genuinely remember what happiness feels like. Story 47. I can't remember. I experienced depression when I was 13. I am 43 now. Maybe I miss not being a depressed person who can be really mean to people when they upset me. It is always a regret. Story 48. Self-worth and self-confidence. I have never recovered them the way I used to have them, and I do not think I am going to. Story 49. My 30s and my ability to enjoy doing the thing I am currently doing instead of looking forward to the next thing I should be doing. Story 50. I used to enjoy talking with people. Now it just feels like torture, waiting for them to stab me in the back. Story 51. My hobbies were one of the last few things that kept me distracted and feeling somewhat grounded. Now I have to mentally prepare for them days in advance, and it seems like a chore rather than something I enjoy. Even when I push through to enjoy them, at the end of the day, I do not enjoy a single second of it. I feel immense guilt from this, and it is a repeating cycle. Story 52. My ability to trust has been challenging lately. I have unfortunately started to slow down or break communication when I feel mistreated. I used to try to express my feelings through conversation. Story 53. I feel like it has taken everything from me. I very seldom have a good day, and when I do, I get very upset if someone ruins it. I feel like it has prevented me from being a better, happier mother around my children. So yes, it has taken everything. Story 54. I have yet to find optimism in life as a result. Pessimism has increased dramatically. I hate what I have become. Story 55. Calm, kindness, kinship, love. It has taken every chance at inner peace. Depression has made my mind a sunless space. I share my dreams with ghosts. I wake up every day to an equation society wrote many years ago, from which there is only one conclusion. I am condemned to this life of nothing. My anger, my grief, my inability to change, my unwillingness to fight. They have set me on a path from which there is no escape. I yearned for a savior against depression without contemplating the cost, and by the time I looked down, there was no longer any difference between myself and the darkness that consumed me. What has it taken from me? Everything. Story 56. Most of my 20s are gone, and they are not coming back. I am 35 now, and I sometimes feel emotionally and socially stunted. Story 57. Being able to do things just for myself and overcoming crippling loneliness. It has been a few years since I have genuinely done something just for myself because doing it for myself feels pointless. I have been trying to overcome that, and I have restarted therapy to help. Story 58. Several friends. My behavior changed significantly and caused me to avoid them for fear of making them hate me. They ended up feeling like I hated them as a result. Attempts to reconcile failed spectacularly, as actions on both sides made us distant or even afraid of each other. I am recovering, but I doubt we will ever speak again. Story 59. 9 to 12 months of my son's first year. Postpartum anxiety and postpartum depression absolutely wrecked me. I will never get those months back, and I will always be angry and sad about it. Story 60. Being able to enjoy the small things. I constantly chase small dopamine surges and no longer enjoy hobbies that I used to. I hope this changes soon. Story 61. Who I used to be. It is not totally a bad thing, though. What I went through was bad, but I think I am a more real and honest person now than I was before. Story 62. Energy. I will get a good night's sleep, at least in length, though quality might be another discussion. I will go to a very standard and not very stressful day at my desk job and come home feeling like a truck ran me over. Forcing myself to exercise does help somewhat, but if I ever get out of that routine, it is back to being exhausted all the time. Story 63. My fitness. I used to be able to run marathons. Now I can hardly run 10 kilometers. I am building it back, but it still sucks. Running was one of my joys in life, but it has lost its luster. I hope to regain the joy it used to bring. Call me. Story 64. Stability. My depression started after dismissal from a corrupt medical school. I now have over $185,000 in student loans, no career, and insufficient income. Story 65. My ability to feel is rare. It is uncommon for me to feel happy when expected. I have to go to great lengths to feel anything. I have just accepted this now. Story 66. God, I used to love photography, nature photography, and toy photography specifically. I would be in a park or setting up shots of my action figures all the time, then spend hours editing them. I even had a modest following in a couple of niche groups on Twitter and Instagram. Then came the depression. I stopped doing it because I didn't have the energy. I would try but just couldn't get inspired and found every shot I took was lacking something. I've tried a few times to get back into it, but attempts have been unsuccessful so far. Back in May, my work team had a golf outing that I couldn't participate in because of an injury. So, I took my camera to take pictures of everyone and send them to the team. I still haven't transferred the pictures to my computer and haven't taken the SD card out of the camera since then. Story 67. Self-preservation. I am pretty sure I have had some sort of cardiac issues. I just slept off the last episode that was causing double vision and a migraine. I was also recently diagnosed with a health issue that can be fatal. Am I trying to heal myself properly? No. I am doing the bare minimum so people cannot say I did not try. Story 68. The feeling of happiness when someone hugs me. Instead, I get this numb sensation in my chest. I guess the word is anhedonia. Story 69. Kind of paranoia. If something good has happened, something bad will definitely follow and ruin it somehow. Story 70. This is going to sound so stupid, but my bowling game has changed. I have bowled my whole life, and before I lost my job at the end of 2023, I was a solid casual bowler with a 215 average, 1 300 game, and 2 800 series with a high of 833. I was in a great competitive league and used to look forward to bowling every week. Since then, my game is not the same. Everything used to be fun and effortless, but now it all feels like work. Nothing is easy. I need to find that joy again. Story 71. My ability to become aroused is limited. I can see the most beautiful naked woman on earth, and my body responds as if I am looking at a rock. Story 72. Not being able to make progress in the things I do because of my negative attitude. I continuously critique myself instead of celebrating when I do something new. For example, I am in gymnastics, and when I master a skill, I just say, "Wow, finally," instead of jumping up and down and being excited that I did something cool. If I try and do not succeed, I tell myself I am not good and will not improve. I am working on it. Story 73. As you mentioned, original poster, it is the inability to enjoy myself sometimes and be in the moment. There are definitely moments in my life where I feel like I am viewing life through a glass window and simply observing rather than being present. Honestly, another issue is my insecurities, especially towards hobbies. During my time of depression, I desperately wanted a friend to confide in, and I ended up looking for one in my fandoms. I was gatekept instead, which dealt a significant blow to my self-esteem. Even now, I feel as if I need to prove myself in order to make friends or even enjoy what I love. Story 74. My wife wanted me to open up about my mental health struggles and start medication. I told her that every time I take antidepressants, the side effects are worse than the depression itself, but she insisted. 2 months later, she packed a bag and left. There was no conversation, no note, and she blocked me on all communication. I have not heard from her since. Story 75. My motivation for working hard and becoming someone worthwhile. I have no competitive spirit whatsoever. I do not care and I hate that. Story 76. A sense of hope. It is crazy how often I question everything I do and why. Most of the day, I just do something for the sake of doing something instead of actually wanting to. It is difficult because I want to have purpose and feel good, but I just do not. Story 77. My ex-wife's untreated depression and alcoholism, caused by untreated childhood trauma and triggered in her early 30s, took her from me, took my children's mother from them, and destroyed my ability to focus on tasks. I have gone from almost total focus to doom scrolling, listening to a film, and reading while trying to do something important like working or cooking for the kids. I went from working long hours to build a future to doing the minimum at work and procrastinating like you would not believe. It has been several years, and I still cannot find the person I used to be. I remain hopeful and still have a sense of humor, but the person I was, with crazy levels of focus and work ethic, is just gone. I say ex because we separated when she developed suicidal ideation and was hurting herself in front of the kids. I had to put them first. It took another few years, but she passed from pancreatitis 19 months ago. If you have depression or an addiction, please seek treatment. Even if you only get yourself on waiting lists, it is an important first step. Story 78. My biggest challenge is direction. It is better now, but I am still working on it. It feels like you are constantly lost and do not know if you are doing the right things. Story 79. My will to go out or socialize is low. I am content and now exercise regularly and eat healthy. I simply have no need for people, restaurants, concerts, picnics, idle chatter, and so on. Story 80. Doing bureaucratic tasks like obtaining a new identification card. Maybe it is also because I am transgender and dislike everything related to my legal or birth status and name. Story 81. The ability to understand when something bothers me, I do not like it, or it hurts me is important. I tend to ignore those emotions or have them numb. When someone says or does something that bothers me, I stay quiet and keep those thoughts to myself until they pile up too much, and then I cry in the shower. Story 82. My enthusiasm, willingness to try new things, interest in various activities, and will to live. Story 83. My sociability. I used to be one of the most interesting people in our group. I was not always trying to approach others, but when I did, they always said that talking with me was enjoyable. Now, I cannot even look at strangers or talk to them without stuttering every 10 seconds. Story 84. The will to voice my opinion when it is vastly easier to just gloss over it or lie because it is not worth bothering to fight or deal with the consequences. I am not fine, but I will be even less fine if I have to talk to you about it. If it is all the same, let's just not. Story 85. It took away any enjoyment I used to have to do anything. My pool water is 84 degrees, and I am inside on the couch, ready to cry. I miss myself. Story 86. Enjoyment. Not looking forward to anything. Doing things I want to do out of obligation and not wanting people to nag me because you spent so much on this, or you set this up for ages. Life is just a series of events where some are less unpleasant than others. Thanks a bunch for sticking around till the end of the video. Remember to subscribe, and until next time, stay awesome and goodbye.